Are you currently harboring a parasite? The odds are good that you are, but I'm not talking about what probably came to mind when I said parasite, a wiggling worm in your gut or tick biting your skin. I'm talking about a microscopic parasite called Toxoplasma gondii that forms tiny cysts in your tissues and is capable of infecting all warm-blooded animals on Earth. And according to a New Zealand food safety report from 5 years ago, it was estimated that 43% of New Zealanders are likely infected with this parasite. However, that number is most likely much higher due to the fact that in New Zealand, Toxoplasma is not a reportable disease and is rarely tested for. And even though this is one of the most prolific parasites in the world, it can remarkably only reproduce within one host, cats, from a domestic house cat to a wild tiger. That means that before the introduction of domestic cats to New Zealand in the 18th century, Toxoplasma was not even a part of this ecosystem. But today, we know feral cats are a huge issue in this country, with the population estimated to be in the millions. And this parasite is thriving. In fact, we're seeing news outlets reporting on the devastating consequences of this parasite, with headlines stating the illness and death it is causing in iconic native species, like kiwi, kia, and even Hector's dolphins. And according to my first chapter of my PhD, where I conducted a metadata analysis looking at the global prevalence of Toxoplasma in wild birds, we found that it has already been discovered in 8 different species of native birds here in New Zealand. But here's the catch. All of those 8 species were found in one of 2 ways: through case studies, where a bird passed away from a Toxoplasma-like disease, tested, and had a confirmed cause of death from Toxoplasma, or through a single retrospective isolated study that looked at historic tissues from years in the past. That means that there is still no current estimate of the true burden of Toxoplasma in our native birds today. That's where the bulk of my PhD comes in. I am conducting a national survey of native birds that have recently passed away and been donated to our lab. I am currently in the process of looking at different organs, such as the brain, heart, and lungs, and using different testing methods to determine both current and past infections. The aims of this study are to uncover what birds are most infected, what organs are most affected, and whether some birds might be at higher risk due to their diet, habitat, or behavior. Ultimately, I want to understand how Toxoplasma is impacting our unique species of native birds here in New Zealand, and whether our birds might even be helping spread it to other species. Because when we think of threats to biodiversity, we think of things like climate change, habitat loss, or even introduced predators. But sometimes the threat is much smaller and much sneakier. Thank you.